Welcome to the TTFL Draft Special. Let's start with the fortunate four leading off the draft. Will the Dixonators take Chris Johnson? He will if he believes these numbers. Johnson had 2,006 yards rushing in 2009 and capped it off with 14 touchdowns. The one thing that's got to concern you, though, is that number of carries, 358, and if he's going to approach that number again this year. With 50 catches for 500 and more yards, Johnson put up monster numbers for a running back last year. If he comes anywhere near his boasts for yardage this year, he'll be the TTFL's first 500-point running back. If the Dixonators pass on Chris Johnson, they're likely to go with Adrian Peterson. Peterson also has the luxury of having Brett Favre in Minnesota to take the pressure of carrying the team off of him. All this points to a big year for Adrian. All this is academic to the firemen, who, barring some departure from reason, will have Peterson again this year, or last year's best running back, Chris Johnson. The F&As are the holder of the third pick. Sources close to the team indicate that they're leaning towards Mojo Drew. Mojo is the man in Jacksonville and will be the workhorse for a second consecutive season. Look for him to put up comparable numbers in 2010. The Terrors are picking in the number 4 slot this season and are a true wild card to predict. Will they go with a safe running back? Rice, Jackson, and Gore will all be available. Everybody's All-American, Drew Brees is still sitting there. Then there's receiving machine Andre Johnson. With the receiving points jacked up to a point a catch, Johnson has the potential to put up numbers that are usually associated with QBs and running backs. Let's take a look at the 3 running backs. Ray Rice had 2,000 all-purpose yards and 8 touchdowns last year. The continued improvement of the Ravens' offense should mean more opportunities for him. Frank Gore missed 2 games for the Niners last year and still managed solid numbers. 1,100 rushing, 400 receiving, and 13 touchdowns display his versatility and aptitude. Hopefully, for Steven Jackson, the Rams hit bottom last year and will begin to improve in 2010. The arrival of Sam Bradford can only benefit him in the long run. If the Ram offense improves, I could see him easily doubling his touchdowns from 2009. Since the Terrors are so unpredictable, I'll assume for now that they make the most predictable pick. They'll leave the Super Bowl MVP and the Receivinator on the board and take Ray Rice. The next 4 picks belong to our finalists from last year and the champ from 2008. A tough group, but at least the Ham-Washers get to pick before the carnage starts. The Ham-Washers are familiar with a back who had a respectable season last year, but was down from his numbers in 2008. Michael Turner will be 28 this year and can have just a couple of premium seasons left in the tank. Both he and the Falcons are likely to rebound and put up better numbers than last year. Look for the Washers to take Turner with the 5th pick. Team Herd will step up to the podium for the 6th pick. Let's go out to Apex to hear from Chuck. Chuck? Can you hear me, Chuck?
Hi, Frank.
There are 5 players off the board now. Are you going to play it safe with a running back, go with the mega wideout, or take a guy you're familiar with?
Well, Frank, taking Andre Johnson is really intriguing, but Drew Brees is on the board, and I don't think I can pass on him now.
All right, we'll pencil in Drew Brees for Team Herd and move on to Team Brady. The defending league champ has picked the team namesake in all 3 TTFL seasons. Tom Brady was picked in the 2nd round in 2007 and 1st round in 2008 and 2009. If Jeff feels like Brady is his good luck charm, he may just pick him here. I think a better gamble is to pick him in the 2nd round with the 18th pick. Coincidentally, this was exactly where Jeff took Brady in year 1 of the TTFL. All said, those numbers indicate a quarterback that has already been to the top, both in championships and statistically. The smart pick here is the 49ers' versatile Frank Gore. Next up is last year's surprise runner-up, Holger's Heroes. The Heroes will be on auto draft as it's much too late to be dealing with American fantasy football after 1 a.m. in Hamburg. With the 8th pick of the draft, Holger's Heroes pick Steven Jackson of the St. Louis Rams. Our next pick begins the far side of the 1st round. The far side 4 are made up of the FV Bengals, Chicago Crushers, JC's Cougars, and the Xanadu Zamorans. The Bengals step into the carnage created by 7 of the first 8 teams selecting running backs. Without a guaranteed back on the board, the Bengals go with last year's breakout player and league's second highest scorer, Aaron Rodgers. Somewhere, Chad Lieske gets a stiffy. There's a restless murmur going through the crowd here in Apex as Tim Rumsey comes to the podium. Crusher fans are still reeling after their team's surprising start and horrifying finish last season. The Crushers have considered the advantages of taking the league's best wideout and getting great value with Andre Johnson. Randy Moss is the next best bet, but Larry Fitzgerald has become a big question mark in Arizona since the departure of Kurt Warner. Let's hear what Tim has to say. With the 10th pick of the 2010 draft, the Crushers select running back Shawn Green of the New York Jets. That doesn't seem to be a very popular pick with the notoriously fickle Crusher fans, but I think that Tim is going for a home run looking for this season's breakout back. I'm joined here in the studio by John Cordell of JC's Cougars. John, what do you make of the rule changes and how is that going to affect your draft strategy?
Frank, thanks for having me. I think that a point for each catch is going to make an incredible difference in individual and team scoring this season. I can't believe my guy's still on the board. The Cougars are going to rule the air this season, and the first step on that journey is to get the biggest difference maker available.
Does that mean what I think it does, John?
Yep. With the 11th pick of the draft, my Cougars select Andre Johnson, wide receiver.
Can you tell us a little about your next pick, John?
I would, Frank, but if I do, you might not leave him on the board for me. If I don't tell you, you can count on him being one of the 2 players you should have taken.
John, that's the kind of talk that gets people banned from TTFL Central. You're out of here. With the 12th pick of the draft, the Zamorans go to their old standby from Carolina, DeAngelo Williams. And with the 13th pick, I'll select his running mate, Jonathan Stewart. Seems like old times, doesn't it? Let's take a last look at the board. The Bengals started this group off by taking Aaron Rodgers. The Crushers picked Shawn Green. The Cougars stole Andre Johnson, and the Zamorans finished up with the Panther tandem of Williams and Stewart. That's going to do it for the draft special. I'll see you again soon on TTFL Central. The voice of John Cordell was performed by Chad Lieske. No animals were harmed in the production of this video.